What's going on, everybody? My name is Austin, and today we have round 8 of DC K.O between Red Hood and the Joker. Can Jason Todd get his revenge on the man who traumatized him for his entire life? Let's find out. So the issue begins right before the first round, and Jason says, "My name is Jason Todd, and I'll tell you a secret, something I've never told anyone, because now at the end, why the hell not? Here it is. Sometimes when people look at me, even my friends and family, especially my friends and family, I feel like they don't see me. Instead, they see him. Those eyes, that grin, the laugh, the damn crowbar. They look at me like I'm his creation, his achievement, the crown on the clown prince of crime. Well, no more. In this arena, that ends." In the Heart of Apocalypse says, "Red Hood, Joker, this is a fight to the death. Best 2 out of 3 wins. I chose the arena. After this round, you choose your forms. Now, fight." Jason fires off 2 rounds at Joker and says, "Die, clown." But Joker fires back and says, "You first," again. Jason says, "Damn, he's fast. Worse, he's unpredictable. But it's the third factor that makes him such a nightmare in hand-to-hand combat." It's funny, I remember the first time I saw Bruce fight him. I idolized Bruce back then, and I can still feel the shock. The shock of seeing Bruce, Batman, struggle against this bony, grinning goon who laughed at him the whole time. But now I get it. The hurricane of chaos, and that third factor, the worst part, the abandon. The way he fights like he doesn't care if he lives or dies. And he's just having fun. I'm fighting for my life, as Joker is able to cut Jason in the back of the thigh. And he says, "So maybe I should do the same and have my own fun," as he stabs Joker in the back of the neck and then uses his foot to jam it through his mouth. But this doesn't seem to faze Joker, as he just runs away. And Jason says, "Maybe that's how you win, by being his creation, by fighting just like him. Like you don't care if you live or die, so long as I win." Jason holds up a specific gun and says, "Before we entered the tournament, the Quantum Quorum said we could bring something with us, one item, whatever it would take to win against our friends and become whatever the hell a King Omega is. Now me, I've got my fair share of items to choose from, but it took me less than a minute to decide. They said all our enemies would be locked up in the Phantom Zone, far away from the tournament, but my gut knew better, which is why I chose what I chose, because he's never locked away, not really. I learned long ago that Joker is always lurking around the corner, just out of view. For years, Bruce studied the elements that made Joker into what he is, trying to figure out their secret, the Ace chemical compound, something that would kill the demon in Joker, turn him human once again, but I only get one shot." Joker opens a door and runs into a building, and Jason follows closely behind. And Joker has used his weapon to take out the electricity. Jason says, "I know where we are immediately. The chemical smell gives it away. Ace, where he was born." Jason walks further in and says, "Come out and fight, coward. What's the matter? Afraid to face me?" Jason walks up the steps and says, "I'm just stepping onto the catwalk when I hear it. The faintest of laughter, like a hiss." Joker pounces on Jason, but Jason turns around, aims his gun, and fires and says, "I got you." But Joker's also able to throw a saw blade at Jason's ear. But Jason hit Joker directly in the chest. He falls to the ground and he says, "Heh, I've been shot plenty of times, kid, but this one feels kind of funny. What did you do?" He starts to transform into something else, and Jason says Batman spent years on a cure. Luckily, he never found one, because you don't deserve a cure. There's nothing human about you. Whatever you are never should have crawled out of that vat down there. So these bullets are my idea of a cure. The compound in that bullet, it was produced from the same chemicals that made you, but amplified 1,000 times over. Death by the very stuff that should have killed you in the first place." Joker stands up as he continues to turn into some weird creature, and he says, "Nicely played. But I also brought toys," and he throws a bomb at Jason. It destroys the catwalk that Jason was on and sends him falling into a vat of the very same chemical that turned Joker into what he is. Jason tries to stay afloat and he says, "No, not like you." Joker stares down at him and says, "Nobody's like me. That's the real joke. No one else could have survived this chemical bath. I'm 1 in a million, baby." As Jason gets Jokerized, he says there is no too much for him. No bottom, only for everyone else. Only for me. Joker continues and says, "And you, Jason, you're just not that special." And the chemicals wind up killing Jason instead of turning him into a Joker. And Jason dies, meaning that Joker wins the first round. Round 2 begins, and the Heart of Apocalypse tells them to choose their forms. Jason says, "Barely time to think. What form? There's another person who defined me, and that's Batman. Some people will only ever see Robin." Joker says, "So predictable, little bird. I figured, why not take a stroll down memory lane together?" And Jason says, "But not just any Robin. The Robin who died. So here and now, I'm rewriting my story. The heart could have chosen anywhere, but it chose this location, the warehouse where Joker killed Jason Todd." Joker says, "I took it easy on you last time, boy blunder. This time, I won't be so nice." Jason says, "It must want to watch this rematch too. So let's do this. Jason runs at Joker and Joker fires a couple shots back as the bomb starts to count down. Jason jumps on Joker's neck and says it's strange to be this young again. I forgot how angry I was then, full of fury, as he sends Joker flying into a pile of boxes. The timer on the bomb continues to count down, and Jason says, heart pounding in my ears, adrenaline like liquid fire. But Jason looks up and sees boxes crashing down on top of him, and he's able to jump out of the way. But Joker is behind him and smacks him over the head with the crowbar. And he says, no, not again. This can't happen. This can't be how I lose. I'm not that kid anymore. As Joker yells, you always looked good in red. Not innocent, not forgiving. Time for another secret. Back then, I held back, because I was worried if I fought back, I'd kill the Joker. And that kid, he would have rather died than disappoint Batman, as Jason catches the crowbar and takes it from Joker. He hits him across the face with it and says, I don't give a flying fuck what Batman thinks now. I could let you die in this explosion, but payback's a bitch. Jason begins to let loose on Joker with the crowbar and says, like I said, people look at me and think of Batman. I'm his doing, his scar. So this time I'll fight like him, cold, controlled. Break Joker bone by bone. He stands over Joker's body and says, beg, Joker, beg. Joker turns around and says, please, kid, die, as he points his gun directly at Jason, but Jason dodges out of the way, and the bullet hits the bomb instead, setting off a fiery explosion. But only one of them emerges from the rubble alive. Jason Todd, and he emerges carrying Joker's dead body. He sets it on the ground and begins to laugh. Joker is dead, and Jason wins the second round of the fight. The third round begins, and Jason says 1-1, only one fight left. What form to pick? Think. My heart flashes moments before me, so much of my life defined by two figures, Batman and Joker. What's mine? What form? The Heart of Apocalypse says you must choose, or I will choose for you, Red Hood. And Jason says Red Hood, and then I remember. My name. Sure, Joker was Red Hood once, but there were so many others. There were older gangs that used the name, because the Red Hood has always been a Gotham phrase, slang in the bad parts of town where kids like me grew up. The Red Hood did it, not me. Blame it on the Red Hood. Red Hood was the guy who did the thing, the bad guy in the shadows. My friends and I played Red Hood as kids. Whoever was Red Hood had to chase the others down, hunt them. I even used to draw him. The Red Hood was our boogeyman, a slum legend, an icon, a story much older than Batman or Joker. And I know then what form I have to take. A me some years from now, a little older, maybe not as fast or strong, but wiser, a Red Hood with a long legend all his own. And that's when an axe comes crashing down next to him. And it's Joker. He's also chosen his Red Hood form. And he says, nice try, kiddo, but whatever form you take, you'll never be more than a footnote. Jason uses his flamethrower on Joker and he says, I don't listen to him this time. Joker tries to pull out his gun, but before he can use it, he's tackled by Jason. And Jason says, I barely hear him at all. Is he laughing? Screaming? I don't know. He means so little all of a sudden. I'm not part of his story anymore. He's part of mine, and he's not my boogeyman. I'm his. As Jason tackles Joker into a grave pit, saying he fights like an animal, like something caged, something guilty, and the guilty are who I chase, who I hunt. It's an executioner's hood, red for the blood of evil men. Just before he finally dies, I see his true face, and I don't care. And he finishes Joker off with Joker's own helmet. Joker is dead once again as Jason sits atop his body. He falls backwards in relief and exhaustion. He crawls up out of the grave and says, victory, I guess. Lost a lot of blood. I feel lightheaded. Even if I die alongside him, I know I was not created by the Joker. Or by Batman. I made myself. I'm my own hero. I am the Red Hood. I know he has some trick up his sleeve, some way to live on, but it doesn't matter, because tonight and forever, we both know who really won. But we go back to see the Joker, and some kind of device that he has implanted in his chest beeps, and it reignites Joker's heart and brings him back to life. But Jason has already succumbed to his injuries, and with Joker alive, it means that Joker technically wins the third round of the fight, and we'll move on in the next round of DC K.O. Bringing us to the end of the issue, I'm glad that Jason Todd finally got revenge on the Joker, and it's pretty clear that he did not actually care about becoming the King Omega, so I'm kind of okay with this ending, but I have to say, if Joker was already dead and he needed a device to restart his heart, doesn't that mean that Jason should have already won the fight? Doesn't that mean that the Heart of Apocalypse should have already concluded the third round and that Jason should be the one moving on? I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here, but that's what it looks like to me. I kind of figured somehow, some way, they were gonna let Joker move on to the next round because he's the Joker. But I think this is a relatively decent way for Jason to get the revenge he's always wanted, but also a good way for Joker to move on in the next round. Without having him actually kill Jason again in the third round, I feel like that would piss a lot of people off. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this fight in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.